Welcome to the Diva Life Show, where music meets fashion, culture meets travel, and we explore the stories of extraordinary artists and entrepreneurs. I'm your host and resident diva, Heather Poduska. I'm so excited to have you here. Now, on with the show. Welcome back to the Diva Life Show. I am your host and resident diva, Heather Poduska, and I'm really excited to have you here today. I hope that you've been enjoying the other episodes of the Diva Life, where I interview amazing artists, entrepreneurs, singers. I had a conductor, stylists, fashion designers. It's a whole smorgasbord of amazing people with really incredible stories to inspire and motivate us. And I'm also bringing you today another solo episode. It's just me and you, so we can get to know each other better. And as we do that, I am so invested in building this community so that we can all live our best diva life, so that we can all shine, so that we can all have the good life, live a life of value, live up to our potential, have our gifts be seen and recognized, and to really share and bring everybody up with us. So that is the goal. And today we're going to talk about something that has to do with brand and with community building. And those things are super important, whether you're an entrepreneur and a business person or whether you're an artist. You need to build your brand. And I probably throughout the life of the Diva Life Show will be talking about brand always, because it is such a core component of success. Because we want to build community, you want to have an engaged audience. So today we're going to be talking about that in the way that this podcast came to be. The name of this podcast is The Myth of Indoctrination. So we're going to be talking about that. And this podcast came to be, and the topic of this podcast came to be because of conversation, an exchange, a dialogue from a post on Facebook that I was responding to. And it really got me thinking, because there is so much division in the world right now. There always is division, but especially in the world, especially with all the things that are going on in the United States. And the temperature seems to be rising in a lot of areas. And this post really, it got me thinking, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast because it's really important. And the myth of indoctrination that we're going to be talking about can be looked at in a couple of different ways. So I want to talk about that with you. I want to talk about how you can think about indoctrination in a positive way for your brand and for your community. So let's get to it. So the myth of indoctrination. So this post that I saw on Facebook said something like, I think our college students aren't getting smart anymore. They're just getting indoctrinated, or something along those lines. We don't send our kids to college to get smarter. We send them to get indoctrinated. It's not exactly what it said, but it was basically that. And I had sort of I feel like the last time we did a solo episode, I talked about another time that I was triggered. And this one also triggered me because the tone, the way that I interpreted the post, that there was this tone that it was dangerous to send your kids to school, to college. Because if you send your kids to college, there's a danger that they're going to get indoctrinated into something that is not good for them, that makes them not as smart, that they're not getting the education that they once were, that our college kids are not as smart as they used to be, that they're not as, they don't have the critical thinking skills that they used to have to kind of look out for these really bad things. And it just got me really sort of, hot under the collar, because the most basic thing is, I don't think that we should ever be discouraging the youth of the world and the youth of the United States, where I live, to not get the most education possible, whether that education is in an institution of higher learning, like a college or a university or a technical school, or to, read and to get feedback or to improve their skills. I think that we should always be encouraging everyone, especially the young people of the world, to get educated. And part of going to an institution of higher learning is to be exposed to other people, right? To be exposed to other ideas. Oftentimes kids go away to college. They don't go, sometimes they stay locally. Like I'm in the New England area. There are a lot of great schools in New England, so a lot of kids stay nearby. And there are kids that come from other parts of the country, other parts of the world that are also mixed in with the kids from New England. And a lot of kids, this is their first opportunity to leave the nest and to go to a different part of the country, a different part of the world, far away from where they live, and experience a different set of people, different set of ideas, a different culture, even within a country. So they're exposed to different viewpoints, and they have to figure it out. They have to figure out where they fit in, where they stand, what they believe. They might come to a school with their ideas set, and then they encounter people that challenge them and make them see things in a different way. That's what we want for our kids. We want our kids to have their ideas challenged, not just so that they change their mind, but in some cases so that they actually reaffirm their ideas and beliefs and points of view. Like they might be challenged and like, wait a minute, I actually really believe this. I actually have this point of view. Or they might be like, well, I see another point of view, or I'd never considered that. I'd never considered it that way. And wow, I grew up in a way where everybody thought this one thing, but now that I'm seeing that there are other people in the world that live differently and think differently, I'm seeing that maybe that's not the only way to think about something. And then their mind expands, their worldview expands, right? And that's just sort of the belief and sort of the social aspect of it, but it's also the educational aspect of it. Like, you have to have your ideas challenged, the experiments challenged. You need feedback, the feedback loop of mentorship, so that you put something out, you test it, you get the feedback whether it worked or not, or whether it was successful or not, and what you need to do to make it better, to refine it, or to take it to the next level, or take the experiment even further, so that new ideas, new inventions, new medicine, all of those things can happen. That's where it happens. It germinates because it's so intense. That's what you're there for. All the other things that go on as well in schools. And we could do a whole other podcast about whether or not people think going to college is the best thing, because I think that there are lots of different places for people in the world as they journey, and not everybody has the same path. College is not for everybody, and not everybody goes to college at the same time for the same amount of time. Not everybody graduates on this strict timeline. It's a whole smorgasbord. My point about it is, though, wherever you are, if you end up in a technical school, if you end up going to esthetician school, or to become an electrician, or you go to law school or medical school or whatever, we want our kids to get the best training, the most advanced training, to be like the best technicians, the best electricians, the most educated researchers, so that they can make groundbreaking discoveries about medicine and how to heal people, or about how to create better bridges and better buildings, and to have more creative ideas for conflict resolution. We want that for our kids. We want them to be the best and the most educated, so that they can further our society and make wherever they are the best place to be in, right? That's what we want. We want that for all of our youth. So this post kind of like really triggered me, because there was this, my perception, right? I made this assumption, but there was this tone of, college isn't the best place to go. It's dangerous because our kids might get indoctrinated. And so I was like, okay, but let's think about this indoctrinated piece of it, because there was definitely this implication that the kids are susceptible. They're susceptible to being indoctrinated. But the whole point of going to school is to become a critical thinker, a better critical thinker. So you want your kids to be exposed to ideas so that, they can use their critical thinking and be like, wait a minute, no, that's not what I want. And there is truth to this. There is truth to this idea of sort of being indoctrinated. But the myth about indoctrination, I think, and I'm saying this in relationship to sort of the post that I saw, and also how certain groups use indoctrination. Of course, there are ways that it is very nefarious, that it is very dangerous when you have these really extreme fractions of society and religious organizations and political organizations and terrorist organizations. Of course, that is not what we want. We do not want that kind of indoctrination. That is dangerous. And the people who are susceptible to those kinds of indoctrinations are the people that are not having that strength of mind, strength of spirit, strength of emotional wherewithal to recognize that they're being sucked into something that is not healthy. So I wanted to come up with some sort of checkpoints to see, like, when is indoctrination dangerous and when is it a good thing? When can it be a good thing? So I'm challenging this myth of indoctrination, that it's always bad, that it's something that you have to be afraid of, when in fact we get indoctrinated to things a lot, and through advertising we get indoctrinated to ideas and concepts. And I looked up the term for indoctrination. It's really about repeating ideas and beliefs so much that they are no longer questioned or criticized. Like, we just sort of take them as, yes, this is the way it is. We don't question it anymore. This is the way it is. So yes, there is danger in doing that, but there's also like positive ways to think about indoctrination. And one of those ways is with your brand, right? You want to indoctrinate people into the vision that you have for your brand, that what you are saying about your point of view and about your beliefs in the world and about how you see yourself and what you're trying to create, you want people to come along for the ride. You want them to be enrolled in your vision, right? You want them to be indoctrinated into your brand, so to speak. So there is a positive way to think about indoctrination. And I'm going to talk about how you can do that in an effective way, in an ethical way, as you're building your brand as an artist, as an entrepreneur. But first, let's take a look at sort of these checkpoints. And this is how to check this according to Heather Poduska. And I am not a conflict resolution expert. I am not a political expert. I am not a psychologist or sociologist or anything like that. I'm not a medical expert. This is my disclaimer. If you have any concerns that need more serious attention, please seek out the person, the expert that you need to address it. However, just from a layperson's point of view, these are some sort of common sense things that I've come up with to check to see, is this a positive indoctrination or is it something that maybe isn't so positive? So these are some questions that I came up with to think about. Oh, is this okay? So is this set of beliefs, so the first thing is, does this set of beliefs make me feel freer? Do I personally feel freer as I think about adopting this belief system, taking on this point of view, taking on what this person, this organization is saying is truth? Do I, as a human being, feel freer as a human being in how I am able to move through life and through the world as I wish? Does it make me feel freer? Does it make me feel more empowered to be authentically myself and to express myself in the way that feels right to me? Do I feel safe to be free? If you do not feel, if you feel constricted, if you feel like you have to cut parts of yourself off, if you don't feel as free to move about the world, so that to me is a red flag. Like, oh, maybe that is not something I want to get indoctrinated into, right? I want to be as free as possible. I want to be as expressive as possible. So the second thing is, do I feel safe? Do I feel safe in this belief system? Does it make me feel endangered in any way? Does it make me feel like something bad might happen to me if I don't go along with whatever it is that is being told to me as the truth? And of course, you want to feel free personally in your personal body, in your person as you move physically through the world, and also emotionally safe and spiritually safe. Will I be ostracized or demonized in any way by this group if I don't go along with it? So along with those, is there room for nuanced thinking? So in this belief system, in this thing that I am like choosing or thinking about enrolling into, whether it's just a point of view you're enrolling into, whether it's an actual group you're enrolling into, is there space for nuance in the way that I see things? Am I allowed or able to sort of cherry pick my experience to make it work for me? Or is it black and white? Is it in or out? That kind of in or out, black or white, tends to be red flags. Like that, we want you to use your critical thinking. We want you to have agency over your body and over your mind and make these choices that align with your values, which is the next thing of, does it align with your values? Is what you are experiencing saying to you, this feels right? If say, for example, if you have a value of kindness, does this belief system align? Do I see the people in this organization, this point of view? Is this a kind point of view? Are they engendering kindness towards me and towards the world around them? Does this align with your values? So that's another thing. If it's like, it's exciting, it's, tempting, but there's like, oh, wait, this over here, like, that doesn't quite align with what I know. What I know for myself is a value that I hold dear, right? If it doesn't, that is another red flag. And then sort of the last sort of red flag that it kind of goes hand in hand. The last one is 2, is, does the thing that is trying to indoctrinate me, that I'm thinking about it, becoming indoctrinated into it, does it inspire compassion? Does this thing inspire me to be compassionate and empathetic towards my fellow human beings? And then the second half of that is it, this side is good and this side is bad, right? Anybody who believes this is good. Anybody who doesn't believe this is bad. So those last two kind of go hand in hand. Does it make you feel, do you have room? Is it encouraged to be compassionate and empathetic towards people who are not enrolled in what you believe, but you still see them as human beings? You still appreciate, and that goes back to the nuance. You can have some nuance to your thinking. And is it, if they're not on board, they are bad? Not that they're wrong, because I think that you can have a point of view where you do think that someone else's point of view is wrong, that it does not align with truth, and that it lacks basic human decency. I think that you can have that, and someone can be wrong, but I think to make someone who doesn't believe with you, that is bad, like evil, bad, is it's a red flag. It depends on what it is. Like if you're, if I'm trying to indoctrinate you into a belief that, we should be kind to people, and the other side of that is like, let's torture people. Yeah, well, okay. then that might be something like, okay, but you can check it with the values, because that's not a value that you want to have, right? But if it's like, we're good and they're bad, that is a red flag. If there's no nuance for seeing the humanity in other people, that is a red flag. So those are kind of like the danger zones of like, am I being indoctrinated? Oh, the other thing is that around indoctrination is that it often is very exciting and compelling in a way that feels like, gives people this like rally call, right? Like something bigger than them that is gives excitement. Because and my husband and I talk about this sometimes, like when things are going really well, sometimes it's not super like fireworks exciting, because it's just working. Like the things are working as they should. And sometimes that isn't like this, like, wild excitement. It's just good. It's working as it should. And sometimes that sort of more balanced, contentment, joy is not as magnetizing or attractive or tempting as something that's like getting people very, very, very riled up, right? But that's when you kind of fall into it can be like where you fall into sort of like a narcissistic relationship, and that's not good either. Okay, so those are my red flags. And as I said, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I am not kind of any kind of expert in, I'm not a medical expert or mental health expert. This is my layperson's opinion on my critical thinking and how I have thought about the world and through this experience of reading this meme. So from the meme, like the college kids are not getting smarter, they're getting indoctrinated. It was sort of this like, oh, you better be careful because they might get sucked into something that's nefarious, that doesn't align with their values, that cuts them off from their family, whatever, right? So, you want to, like, it made me question that because it didn't align with what my value, right? That the more you educate someone, the higher their critical thinking skills, the better it is for everybody. So, those are kind of the red flags. But let's look at how we can see this, the myth of indoctrination, because it can actually be a really powerful and positive thing for you as an artist or an entrepreneur when your intentions are really good, right? When your intentions are to do good, to be good, to bring more love, joy, peace, fun, connection, all those things to society through your gifts and abundance and wealth and all of those things in positive ways. So if we look at this indoctrination, we want to indoctrinate people into our brand, into our vision. We want them along. We want to build community. We want evangelists, even brand fanatics that go out and like, oh my God, this is so amazing, right? So it is, some of the things that I said, like watch out for, you do want to watch out for that. And when it's a lot, like everything goes back to values. So the values piece has to be there. So if something aligns with your values, go wild, right? Go wild. And when you find a brand that aligns with your values, when you find an artist that aligns with your values, that can be so fulfilling and so exciting. So as the brand, as the artist, as the entrepreneur, you want to get people enrolled in your vision, to get people indoctrinated into your brand. So how do you do that? So I'm going to give you a couple of steps. The first thing is to have a vision. You want to have a vision and a mission for your brand of what is this thing that you are trying to create in the world? What is the mission statement of, if you're an artist, what is it you're trying to do with your art? What is it that you're trying to do with your voice? Write it out. Entrepreneurs know they do this all the time with their businesses. What's the mission state of the business? But what's your vision statement as an artist? Like one of my mission statements is to use my gifts and talents to make people's lives richer and more joyful in all ways, right? To have more fun, to have more abundance, and to have that sensual experience through my voice as an artist and as an entertainer, and to have some freaking fun along the way too, and to lift each other up, right? That is a really big part of my mission as a brand. And so think about that as an art. What is my mission? What do I want to do? Like, how do I want to touch people in the world? What is it that I want them to experience when they come into my sphere? I want people to be excited. I want people to have fun. I want people to have sparkle in their lives. I want them to have their own Diva Life experience where they get to shine and use their voice and be glamorous and sexy and silly and sparkly and really abundant and live a big life and have the good life and live the best they can, because this is all we have, man. Let's do it. And to have that deeper connection with the art and the music, and to have that that soul connection, right? That's what I want people to experience when they experience me and what I bring into the world. So what is it that you want your people to experience? Have a mission statement. And then what is sort of a more concrete vision of what you're trying to create? Lady Gaga has her little monsters, right? Like that she's like there to help people be seen and know it's okay to be who you are. And what is the mission of your brand? What is the mission of your brand as an artist? What is the vision that you have to create in the world through your art, through your business? What is the vision that you want to create for your success, but not just you? Like, this is about indoctrinating your audience into your brand. So what is the vision for them, for their lives? What can they experience through you to elevate their experience here on planet Earth. So having a vision and having a mission are really, really important. And then also, like, a core thing that I keep going back to is, what are the values of your brand? What are the values that your audience can connect to? It's the glue, right? So integrity, authenticity and freedom of expression are huge for me. Being free to express yourself and being authentically expressed in the world. Having, kindness is a really big thing for me. Fun is a huge value for me. It's a huge value for me, and it may not be a huge value for other people. They might have sort of more, like, air quotes, serious values than fun, but I really value fun. It just makes life so much better. So it's really big. So people who want to have more fun would be more likely to be indoctrinated into my brand than someone whose core values maybe don't include fun, right? But there's a place for everybody. So vision, mission, and then what are your core values? And then the other thing about the definition of indoctrination is, once you kind of get this vision of who you are, what you bring to the world, what you want to share with your audience, what the value is for them, what can they take away from the experience of being in your sphere, is from the definition of repeating it. That is the indoctrination of repeating the belief, repeating the point of view until it is no longer questioned or criticized. Now, I take a little bit of umbrage with that in terms of, like, having integrity with your brand, because I think that people should always question, where they put their faith, where they should put their money, right? Like, you keep an open mind, and, like, you want to go in with your critical thinking and really, like, trust your instincts of, like, check your resources. Is this where I want to be, right? So I kind of take that last piece, like, without criticizing, without questioning. But once you do your due diligence and you've done the questioning, you've done the checking, yeah, like, repeat it. And this is where a lot of people fall short. Something isn't working. It's not happening as fast as they want. So they're like, reiterate, which is valid. Like, you want to reiterate and stay relevant, but you got to repeat your message over and over again until people are like, oh, yeah, let's do this. Oh, I get it. Yes, this must be true. It must be true that Heather likes to have fun, because she keeps showing up having fun. She keeps posting silly TikToks and reels. She keeps laughing and smiling. Like, Heather likes to have fun and believes in fun, and let's have fun together, right? It's on repeat. And you need to repeat and have it ingrained over and over. And then really, so you want to have a vision, mission, align it with your values, repeat it, be bold, and then really believe, and you be excited about it, and you have passion for it. If you look at all of the most magnetic leaders through time, they're magnetic, they're passionate, like the good and the bad, right? The good leaders that really transformed people, through their belief system, that really made a difference and brought people on board, and really, like, and the bad, right? They're magnetic. They believe, they're, like, enabled to, like, bring some excitement to the table. And your level of excitement doesn't have... I always think of Tracy Ullman. There's an old comedy sketch where she takes off Coke bottles and tap dances on the conference table at some business meeting that she's in. Like, you don't have to tap dance on the conference table with Coke bottle tops. You don't have to do that. Maybe your style is more reserved, and that's okay. So it doesn't have to be jazz hands, but your belief, your commitment, your dedication, your soul calling needs to be, the more that's there, the more your audience can feel it, the more they're going to want to be indoctrinated by your brand. We all want that. We all want to have, and that's why these things that are not good, that are dangerous, that are nefarious, that we worry about happening, the reason that they are so enticing is because They make people feel a part of something important and something bigger than themselves. So your audience needs to have that feeling too, like this matters. Fun matters. I believe that fun matters. I've said this before. I would have not survived lockdown without cat videos on TikTok. It had real value to me. So to me, fun really matters. It's a huge reason to be alive, right? Like it really matters to me. And what is, like, how can we have this, like, for me, the bigger thing is the diva life, like to have as big a bold life as possible, to live here, to live and to shine and be your authentic self and be your most glamorous, abundant, joyful, self-actualized self here on planet Earth, to use your talents and gifts to feel fulfilled yourself and to make the world a better place. That is the vision of the diva life, and that's the vision that I invite people into. So for you, when you're thinking about your brand, what is the thing that is enticing, that is exciting, and that is bigger than just you, that your audience can enroll into? So I hope you found this helpful. It's such an interesting time that we live in, and it's, it depending on where you sit, like you can look at one side and be like, they're wrong, they're good, they're bad, right? Like all of these things. And when it comes to your brand, when it comes to your artistry, your job is to show up powerfully as you wish to have your people enroll in you, in your brand, in your music, in your business, whatever that is, and make it something that is enticing and exciting for them to be there, that they feel a sense of belonging. That's so, so powerful. So we have busted, I hope, the myth of indoctrination, that it is always bad and that it's something you always have to fear, when in fact it's something that you can leverage in an ethical way to build a community that's really powerful, that gets extreme value out of being part of your community, and that helps you grow the concentric circles of your brand and your artistry to lift the world up. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful. I would love to know what you think. Please let me know. Hit me up on social media. Let me know what you think about this episode. You can hit me up on YouTube, in the comments underneath the show. And if you like this show, let me know. I would love to know what you think. Please share this on out if you think other people would find it interesting. It helps the show to grow. And be sure to stay tuned for our upcoming episodes. We have an award-winning fashion designer who has been commissioned by one of the shishiest museums in Boston to design. I have an impresaria, not an impresario, a female opera company founder, and an amazing acclaimed soprano that is coming on. We have just some really cool guests coming on, so be sure to check it out. You can watch on YouTube at Heather Poduska, and you can listen on iTunes and Spotify. So thank you again for joining me. I so appreciate you being here, and like I said during the episode, my goal is to make your life more sparkly, fun, rich, and enjoyable. So stay tuned and stay with me. Okay, as always, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Diva Life Show. If you liked what you heard and saw today, I would love to have you join us for the next episode as I interview one of my amazing guest artists or entrepreneurs, or for another solo episode where you and I get to know each other better. And speaking of getting to know each other better, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments, so you can find me on the socials at Heather Poduska. Just DM me. And if you'd like to know more about me, my services, more about the show, you can visit my website at heatherpoduska.com. And if you liked the show and you liked the content, you know anybody who would also like music, fashion, culture, and entrepreneurship, share it on out. Let people know, let your friends know. And if you'd be so kind, I would so appreciate a review wherever you are consuming the podcast, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It helps us expand our reach and grow the community. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you many days filled with joy and with music. Until next time, as always, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye.